Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right?
Bitcoin hitting major new all-time highs, and the market is heating up in some pretty exciting ways, led by BTC. No surprise there. As of this recording, we have 852,000 Bitcoin, which are held by 100 public companies. Now, that's certainly skewed towards those with some of the higher holdings. There are 147 public companies total around the world that are holding in their treasuries. We're going to break that down. We're going to talk about why it's so important and so exciting as Bitcoin skyrockets into new all-time high territory. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie, and this is Altcoin Buzz. Happy Friday and TGIF. Like I said, BTC is doing its thing. We're in basically price discovery above $118,000 as I record. Whether it's Bitcoin or altcoins, if you choose to invest, I wish you very, very well. Just remember that this video is not official financial or investment advice. So who exactly is buying right now? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? Let's break down that number to begin with that I mentioned a moment ago. So of that total 852,000 Bitcoin, get this, 70% of it, the vast majority, 70% is held by MicroStrategy, led by Michael Saylor, of course. And I'm told they've now rebranded. They're now called Strategy. I wasn't aware of that. Now, it's probably no surprise that this is what they're up to. Of course, we've been following MicroStrategy formerly and Michael Saylor now for a number of years. So again, probably no surprise. But the all-time high here of above $118,000 per Bitcoin is significant because if you do the math, just under $101 billion are in listed company holdings now. So over $100 billion. Listen here to what Matt Hogan from Bitwise says, especially the term megatrend.
79 public companies hold a collective $57 billion in Bitcoin on their balance sheets. That's a nearly 160% rise over the past year. What do you attribute that bump to? And generally speaking, why do you think public companies are betting big on Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think there are a few reasons for that. We think this is a megatrend, by the way, that's going to accelerate into the future. One, of course, is increased worries about the dollar. Corporations globally are sitting on records amount of cash, and what they've historically done is park it in short-term US treasuries or, in fact, in cash accounts. But with the huge money printing and growing deficits, that no longer seems like a valid approach. They need another way to protect their wealth from degradation, and they're turning to the best horse in that race, which is Bitcoin. Beyond that, the investing audience has just recognized that this is a positive strategy. And so companies are being rewarded for taking this bold step of putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We think there will ultimately be thousands of companies that do this. We think we're in inning 1 or 2 of this mega trend period, but you're seeing it accelerate over time. It's very exciting.
There are multiple factors at play here, but a major one, probably the driving factor, at least as I see it, probably some others see it as well, is the declining purchasing power of dollars, US dollars for the most part, but in general, other currencies too, all around the world. This is a major one. Inflation, not only if you're American, but even more so internationally, is such a big deal, and it's been bad in recent years. It's largely why these companies that we're going to be talking about are implementing specifically a Bitcoin Treasury strategy. As per this stat right here, we can see that corporate Treasury accounts are very well represented, actually. They represent 3% of all Bitcoin holdings, and that's a figure that's doubled in just the last 2 months. With all treasuries, if you have a more macro perspective, is actually closer to 5%. Then we have Metaplanet, which is actually number 5 on the list. They hold a little over 15,000 BTC, which is a modest figure compared to MicroStrategy. Strategy now, I suppose. But that 15,000 BTC still represents $1.7 billion. And I suppose the most relevant question is, why is this Japanese company that you've probably never heard of, why exactly are they buying so much Bitcoin? The short answer is American money center banks. 2 of them to be exact, Citi and BNY Mellon. They're now top 10 holders of Metaplanet shares. Objectively speaking, banks are allocating to Bitcoin now in a big way and in an increasingly big way. The regulatory path for this is a lot clearer than it used to be, and banks are profit driven, right? It's very simple. They want a piece of it. Now, when it comes to the question of why are these guys buying? Why are these different parties as interested as they are in this strategy? Yes, I did mention the dollar's declining value and the declining value in terms of purchasing power of other currencies as well. Early Bitcoin developer here, Adam Back, explains it pretty eloquently in more detail. Check this out.
Effectively, what people who are buying Bitcoin are doing, because individuals don't have a lot of access to capital, like where companies can raise capital against their enterprise value, they can sell shares, they can borrow against shares, they can do a lot of things an individual can't, especially if they can establish a public company. But even like private companies can do that. So I think that Treasury Company play, which MicroStrategy started in the public format. I mean, Blockstream was in the Treasury play indirectly in the sense that we had Bitcoin on the balance sheet in 2014. What the Treasury Companies do in the public ones is basically an arbitrage between the fiat current and the hyper Bitcoinized future, the Halfini 200 trillion. And, if you can buy Bitcoin today and pay for it in 5 years or convert it into equity, you are bringing forward the Bitcoin adoption curve.
So Back calls it an arbitrage and apparently risk-free bet on the present with fiat money, which is expendable. I guess that's the philosophy here, and a hyper Bitcoinized future. That's his term. If you follow any Bitcoiners at all, then you probably know about this scenario where Bitcoin becomes a reserve currency on its own, which is a virtuous cycle, right? That itself feeds into and leads into even more growth. Now, the unspoken part of this trade is the understanding that the fiat money system we have is broken. That's probably a massive understatement. And there are certainly some different opinions out there. But I think we could all agree that we can't just continue indefinitely with this fractional reserve banking system and fiat currencies without any consequences. In just the last week, these top 100 companies that we've been talking about have added 4,000 BTC to their treasuries. But remember for a second that Bitcoin mining only produces a little over 3,000 BTC per week in this cycle after the last halving. So that means these top 100 companies, just the companies themselves, forget about retail, just the companies and their treasuries, bought all of the Bitcoin that was newly mined, plus 850 more BTC. This does not include ETF purchases, by the way, or buys from the approximately 47 other companies outside of that top 100, or holders, or like I said, everyday retail individual purchases. Just the top 100 companies, they are already exceeding the available supply. And the trend here is very clear. The numbers just speak for themselves. I don't know how else to really put it. Companies are buying more. They are buying more and more. The trend is accelerating itself. It's not just linear. Bitwise seems to be correct, calling it a mega trend. Treasury holdings look ready to go parabolic. And perhaps this is the beginning of what we're seeing. But if that were to happen, obviously the price of BTC would follow a similar curve. In other words, corporates are buying aggressively more than the entirety of that newly minted supply. And again, they are not the only ones buying. You have ETFs, you have individuals, you have whales, small holders, private companies, exchanges that maybe need to have it for trading liquidity. There are a lot of other players in the space. And here's a website that we haven't visited in a little while, but Bitcoin is officially the 6th most valuable asset in the world. It is by far the most liquid of the top assets here to use for trading or collateral purposes. And that's another big reason why companies want it. Companies not involved in tech are probably not likely to need or want to hold Apple or Nvidia stocks. And that's not to take away from them. Those are great companies. They're very successful, certainly, but it's not strategic to hold them in the same way that it is strategic to hold Bitcoin. The advantages just don't match up. It would only be for investment purposes. But with BTC, specifically, you get the investment part, plus it's a strategic holding in case something happens to the dollar. There are other scenarios as well where it represents an advantage. There are benefits here. It's just strategically much more intelligent. Plus, and this is a big one, no asset has officially performed better than Bitcoin over the last 5 years or 10 years. Here's Bitcoin just crushing Apple in terms of ROI. So obviously there are many reasons for companies to hold Bitcoin. Those reasons are more and more compelling. Avoiding the dollar, maintaining purchasing power, crushing debt is a big one too. And arguably more important than any other one is the devaluation of fiat currency. If you are an American, then I'm talking to you because we found an exchange that gives you the best of both worlds. If you want to trade spot markets on over 400 trading pairs and without KYC, you can. If you want to trade perpetuals on over 150 trading pairs with KYC, that by the way accepts Americans as well as Canadians, you can do that as well. The only exchange we've seen in the market that lets you do both simple spot trading without KYC and perps trading with KYC that Americans can use is BYDFi. And right now they have a great new promotion going on where you can win a Rolex. BYDFi gives you all the tools you need without any of the crazy requirements. And right now they have this new promotion that I mentioned where you can win some great prizes, including a Rolex. The promotion goes from the 3rd of July all the way to the 3rd of August. So you still have several weeks to take part. After you sign up for your BYDFi Altcoin Buzz exclusive account, or after you log in, if you already have one, here's what you do. If your futures trading volume is higher than $1 million, you win an AirPod. It's that simple. But prizes move up pretty quickly from there and include an iPad, a new iPhone 16, a Louis Vuitton backpack, and a Rolex Submariner with a retail value of $10,000. These are some very sweet prizes for basically doing what you'd likely be doing anyway, trading on a tier 1 exchange like BYDFi. So if you have not yet checked out BYDFi, now is the perfect time to try it. Just make sure that you use your Altcoin Buzz exclusive link to sign up. That way you're going to be eligible for all these rewards. No need for KYC, start trading, and get your bonuses. Check out the links in the description of this video. So what does it all mean for us, the retail investors? I would suggest that the biggest takeaway is that corporate buying corresponds with an upcoming supply shock, one that is imminent and inevitable. And really, unless there is some crazy black swan event that happens within crypto or even happens outside of crypto that affects our industry, it looks like there's nothing that will prevent a pretty huge run up in Bitcoin's price. Take a look at these numbers here. In the last quarter, when BTC's price went from about $85,000 to $107,000 for an ROI of about 25%, Bitcoin Treasury Companies alone bought 119,000 more BTC than all the newly mined Bitcoin in that particular quarter. Then add to that the fact that 111,000 BTC the ETFs bought in the same period of time should also be considered. Now you've got a surplus buy of 230,000 Bitcoin in just 3 months. Miners only minted a little under 41,000 Bitcoin, and companies and ETFs bought that amount plus 230,000 more. Exactly how much of this do we need to see to understand that a supply shock is coming? Look, it's already started with exchanges because they have far fewer Bitcoin available. Some are running out of supply altogether, actually. Just think about this. BlackRock and Fidelity alone have over 900,000 Bitcoin. 900K, which is about 4.5% of the total BTC supply. And even if you consider OTC, which is selling from some old whales to corporates or to ETFs, even with that granted, there is still a major strain on Bitcoin liquidity that we're all observing right now. Let's try to sum things up here, and I'll try to impart on you some what I feel are important takeaway messages. Smart altcoin investors have taken their alt trading profits and rolled at least some of them into Bitcoin for long-term savings. That's a trend that we've been seeing for years now. And now that inflation and currency devaluation is hitting the United States, especially in a big way, kind of like it has, to be honest, to other countries all over the world, but Americans are feeling it more than they previously have. Now that that's happening, corporate treasuries are doing the same thing. They are saving their money in Bitcoin and see options that exist with BTC if the dollar were to lose its reserve currency status. All of this is happening right now. At the very least, people are thinking about this kind of stuff. One question, though, that I think in fairness should be addressed is, could it be a bubble?
I've said from the very beginning, and I'm not concerned at all personally about MicroStrategy or Nakamoto or 21. I think they've got the right players in place. They're first to the market. But I've said repeatedly that this is going to be the next bubble. And if you thought that we were going to do super cycles and never draw down again, this is going to be the next thing. You know, it was ICOs in 2017. Now all the people who were participating in ICOs can't make money in altcoins. So now we're doing Bitcoin Treasury companies.
Scott Melker says in this clip that companies like MicroStrategy will be fine. They are both first movers and have people who understand Bitcoin very well on the team. That means they're going to have a big edge over others that maybe are just getting into the space as newbies. Some others are buying Bitcoin just because it seems like a good idea, or maybe because MicroStrategy clearly is making money with it. Who knows if smaller, less informed sellers will panic sell into a bear market? They certainly could, and it would not surprise Melker. It wouldn't surprise us either. And look, Bitcoin will not go up forever in a straight line. Bear markets are going to come back around. They're still going to happen, and they're going to be volatile. But that being said, companies buying Bitcoin right now for their treasury seem to be reflecting that megatrend that Bitwise told us about earlier. Companies want BTC. They know how to get it. And Saylor is evangelizing this strategy for companies to use. He's got nothing to gain, really, personally. And people see that. They see that he is genuine. He's an authentic guy. He believes in this technology and this market structure. And it doesn't look like that's going to slow down anytime soon.